What's going on, gamers? We got a huge future here coming to PlayStation soon. Now, you know that there's a lot of people on the internet that used to get annoyed where people would base a lot of sales metrics or day ones off of Steam player counts, which I actually thought is an amazing system. But they wanted PlayStation counts, Xbox, Nintendo counts, right? Finally, Sony is adding this to their database. Here it is right here. PlayStation 5 beta UI update reveals weekly player counts for top games in the United States. I have to tell you, this is huge because now you're going to get your immediate metrics consistently, and not just somebody coming to give you weekly numbers of what happened that week or day one launches, but it's going to be in front of you consistently. This is huge because now Westerners who are also obsessed with analyzing and metrics, we know will now be able to see the biggest launch games and biggest game numbers consistently, seeing what PlayStation has, seeing what Steam has. Now here comes another PlayStation versus Steam player count aspect. And there's going to be some people saying, oh, did you copy Steam? And it's like, I don't know. It depends on how you want to look at it. Either way, this is a great future that's coming, and I'm very glad it's here. So we're going to read some comments, which is going to get interesting, and then we're going to look at if this is coming soon or, what's going on with that. So it says PlayStation 5 is testing a new welcome hub widget in beta that displays the top 10 most played games and trending titles by weekly player numbers in users. We see this right here. Countries. United States data shows Fortnite leading with 14.6 million players. That's why I try to tell people, when it comes to third party, Sony is the biggest market. Like, when you think about how big Fortnite has grew, it has been massive, definitely in the PlayStation world, and tons of other games, Call of Duty, GTA, everything you can think about it. Apex, like when that was growing up in its early stages, but now it kind of hit its peak and it still is maintaining, which is kind of impressive. But Fortnite leading with 14.6 million is absolutely juggernaut for the PlayStation base. It's just that Fortnite console has been for the longest. You've even seen when Sony was doing deals in the holidays, they had Fortnite console still there because they knew those metrics. It's just we couldn't see them like that. So then after that, it's followed by Grand Theft Auto 5 at 5.13 million, leading on PlayStation. It gives you an idea of why Rockstar's home is on PlayStation. Then after that, we see Minecraft almost still having 5 million players on PlayStation, and Call of Duty at almost 5 million on PlayStation. This is just Call of Duty. Other notable accounts include Apex Legends, and you see all these games are mostly shooting and killing. Apex Legends at 1.72 million, Marvel Rivals, Marvel, it makes sense though, superhero, at 1.58 million, Battlefield at 1.51, and Arc Raiders at almost 1 million. All of these games are shooting games, which dominate the PlayStation console. It's not an opinion, it's right there. We see what's the most active, and all of them are third-party games. So there's no doubt about that. And that's what Nishino was kind of saying, that, this is the biggest market for third party. This is the biggest market to grow. And, if we don't do this together, gaming is in trouble. I mean, it's a cooperation here. That's what I was trying to tell Xbox fanboys, but they don't understand it. It's like, see, this is happening in the PlayStation world, where the biggest third party support is here daily, and it has been for a very long time historically, and it's never been dominated. Steam has some catch-ups on certain things, but it can't hold a candle to PlayStation's live, active base from a third-party perspective. Plus, them adding in their first-party spice, which is obviously not as big as Nintendo, but, I mean, you kind of get into a lot of ideas here, right? So right here says Fortnite had the lead right here in USA alone. Guys, that's only in USA. Damn, 14.6 million this week in the US at the moment. That says a lot. Let's go down and read some comments here. And yet they can't pay the bills and need to rise the prices of V-Bucks and fire 1,000 employees. Yeah, I have to kind of agree on that. It is kind of like, why do you need to do that? That's it. Fortnite fell off. GTA 6 is going to have 50 million. Well, I wouldn't say Fortnite fell off. It's just the fact that it still maintained that number after this long is still impressive. That's kind of the wrong way to read that. Let's rephrase here. 4 million adults players can, with actual brains versus 10 million 8-year-old children who play still a brain rot all day. Oh man, that's funny. GTA 505 million players over a decade after release is the real mental stat here. Half of Fortnite player base wasn't even born when Michael Franklin and Trevor first showed up. Yeah, no, he's right about that though. And it's not free to play, but it's obviously cheap to get. And we're talking about on PlayStation here in the USA. It's a huge thing. You can't really sit there and act like that's small fry like it. No, it's not. This game ain't nowhere near dying. No, it's not. We all saw that, right? Yeah, for PlayStation. I'm telling you. So, and yet they still use bots to fill lobbies. Hilarious. So we get an idea of some of these comments right here. The biggest post is over here by Charlie Intel, who we know is a award guy. He loves stuff too. Finally, people can stop relying on Steam stats to try and make it seem like Call of Duty is dead. You know what? I mean, I get what he means if you're really thinking about that to a certain extent, because you could say that if it didn't do well on Steam, but you see 5 million on PlayStation, what's that really saying? And you saw like 1.5 million or 2 on Xbox. That's still a lot of players, right? No doubt about that. But who's leading Call of Duty? So I want you to think about this, guys. This is what I'm saying. Imagine you're looking at the PlayStation stats now for Call of Duty, and then you see that number, but you look at Steam, you're like, but on Steam, it's like 300 and something thousand only playing. But you don't even see that right now. You see what I mean? When it comes to like the biggest third-party support, PlayStation is literally dominating Steam by a mile. This right here shuts down the idea that Steam has the biggest third party. It's like, I will tell you, please be quiet, because tell me how many players play Call of Duty on Steam this week compared to PlayStation. Tell me how many players play GTA this week compared to PlayStation, Fortnite compared to PlayStation. And then when you see that, you're going to see the ratio difference of active players, not fake made up numbers. No, we're talking about active players here, and we're talking about support. So this means that what's keeping gaming alive the most from a third party centric standpoint? We know Nintendo is first party. They do insane numbers. They all sell third-party games, but we're not talking about that from like just on their perspective, but just saying that where's the biggest growth in gaming? PlayStation, Nintendo, and Steam, right? And then Xbox fourth place. It still contributes, you know what I mean? But it's nowhere near as big as those other platforms. They have like 100 and something million, 120, 130 million, base every single month of active players playing. It's absolutely insane. Whereas like if you think about something like Steam or something like PC, you could just be browsing and have like an app sitting there, but they're not really gaming. The most live active players are going to be on a console like the Switch and then PlayStation, because when you get on Nintendo, you're not going on Netflix. You're not going to Party Chat. You know what I mean? Now you kind of can, but it's kind of like personal. You're not going to some other app on YouTube. There's none of that on there. It's straight getting on the video games, and you're still playing on the go. So they always have people playing. Their active hours are pretty damn high. Whereas like when you think about PlayStation, their active hours are on third-party games mostly, like Fortnite and getting a bunch of microtransactions and knowing how to benefit the third-party realm the most, but also being the biggest vampire. Because you got to just be honest about that. I mean, Sony is a great vampire, no doubt about that. Okay, so Savvy says, I thought numbers weren't important. I thought asking for transparency was a bad idea. Sony cooked hard with this update. I'm trying to tell you, this is a huge update. Fortnite pulled 14.6 million on the same widget and nobody even blinked. Call of Duty flexing 5 million is admitting they lost a casual crowd. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's still there, though. On today's episode, the gaming community realizes no one buys or plays Call of Duty on Steam. You see, guys, this is why you need stuff like this, because it shuts down arguments and theories that it's dead because Steam is this and that. Yeah, but look at what PlayStation's doing. Whole living ecosystem that's way more alive, like times 20 more in Call of Duty. And that's what I'm saying, where I'm like, what I was saying about that third-party video that one time, it kind of shuts down the element and the grifting of the Xbox fanboys. You see what I mean? Because they were thinking that I was trying to sit there and grift. I'm like, how though? Now you see what I'm saying. Once again, every time you follow AGN, you start to realize he knows what he's talking about. That if you removed PlayStation's third-party support in the past 20 years, the gaming industry is dead in a way. And it's all about Nintendo's first party and just whatever Steam could do. And I mean, you don't even want to think about that because that's not going to happen. But you kind of get the idea of what I was trying to tell you. So Anderson says they had to do something. Xbox updates smoking them. I don't know about that. What, some logo updates and all that? What, you know, PlayStation is smoking Xbox big time. Sit down. You don't know what you're talking about. Embarrassing them this year. The only thing Microsoft has right now that's doing really well is Forza, which we knew that was going to happen. Phenomenal game. Xbox should implement this too so we can stop counting on Steam for player counts. Actually, I would like to see Microsoft do that. Asha, hear you? You know, text her. Yeah, guys, text her that right now on Twitter so she can say, hear you, right? Hey, can you please put this on Xbox? Please get that response. I would like that, right? That'll be something that's actually going to be nice. Because then we can have another comparison war. Because you know that's what's going to happen all over Twitter, and it's already happening right now since this is going on. You know what I mean? It's like there's nothing you can do to prevent that. So Stylish says I hope people don't start posting console numbers saying the game is dead. Glad to see this. Hopefully Xbox and Nintendo start following suit on this. Yeah, that would be nice. Nobody's pointing out that this across like 4 games. So yeah, I mean, I want you guys to let me know what you think about this. Leave a comment down below. Obviously, fabricated numbers. Twitter told me the game is dead. I know that is pretty funny. So yeah, huge stuff here. I really like this update. Now we can sit here and, like I said, it's coming out everywhere. Call of Duty almost 5 million, and then Battlefield 1.5 million. PlayStation will start displaying the number of players. It's blowing up. It's all over the place. So there we go, guys. Once again, we got some more interesting stuff going on here, and let the comparison wars begin, because you know it's going to happen. Once again, here goes PlayStation and PC again, right? Or PlayStation and Steam. Gonna get interesting. Today is just the first day with this. When Sony officially launches this, it is going to be something else. I'll make sure to cover that. All right, y'all. Later. Keep on gaming no matter what platform you're on. Peace. Keep it real.